Hey, Josh here with Refresh. I'm excited for our guest, Aaron Thomas. Today, we are going to be talking about AI technology. I know we have heard so much about AI just in softwares and tools and gadgets and everything and all the above. But I want to have a conversation with Aaron. He's an expert with AI technology, and he has his business called Sales Gadget. And he's always intrigued my mind with all of the new tools and resources that he has to share. And I thought it would be great for you, business owners, church leaders, whoever you are watching this, you can grab something from this episode and hopefully be able to apply it into your church, into your business. So Aaron, welcome to our podcast. Thanks for jumping on here.
Thanks for having me.
And just give our viewers just kind of a quick overview of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Aaron. I run a company called Sales Gadget, and basically what we exist to do is make digital marketing, the online space, simple for people. I think it's easy to get caught up in the complexities of, I have a website, but what does that mean? I have a Google business profile. What does that mean? How are people finding out about me? So we simplify that down. And the way that we do that is through a lot of AI tools. So AI, like you said, it's a buzzword, right? Everyone's interested in AI. It seems like every single company is just adding AI into their products and services. And so what we've done is, how do we utilize those tools to simplify our client's life, simplify our team's life on the fulfillment aspect, and just use it to be more productive, be more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about churches.
Yeah.
So you're a man of faith. You help your church out in a variety of different marketing aspects. And what I'm curious to hear more about is, how can a church who's looking to grow and add members and reach more people and have greater impact in their community, what place does AI have in that process and that growth mindset?
Yeah, good question. I would say the number one use case that we're seeing, like in the ministry and the church space, is content, right? How do we use AI to produce content at scale? And so before, if you think through, like, you used to have to hire a full-time content writer. Most churches don't have the budget for a full-time content copywriter. So what we're able to do is we can leverage AI. We can take full sermon videos that are an hour long, and we can distill that down and have AI cut out the best pieces of that message. Right. Then you take that content, you can share that on social media, you can share it on your website. What we're noticing in the SEO space, which is search engine optimization, is content. And so when you talk to churches about, hey, we need more content, they might not have the bandwidth to produce it. So now what we've been doing is, how do we take that sermon clip and then give that to AI and say, hey, I want you to produce a weekly blog about the sermon topic. You could use this in your sermon series as well, where you have like a complete blog series following along with your sermon series. And then each week you're just uploading your sermon clip, and then AI can have a blog post written in 30 seconds, right? Nice. Share that on your website, share that on your socials. Google loves that stuff for search engine optimization, because when people are searching for churches near me, or non-denominational church, or Christian church near me, all those search terms that you want to begin ranking for and showing up for, if you have content about that on your website, on your Google business profile, that's how you rank. That's how people find out about you.
Nice.
So how do we leverage AI to make that easier?
So that's something a church can do without having to spend a ton of money on a marketing agency, or even hiring a full-time person to be able to do all that. Because when I hear more content, I'm hearing, okay, I got to get somebody in, I got to provide a computer for them, and then they have to slice up all my sermons and then upload it, and then write a blog. Like, I'm thinking, I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed if I'm a pastor and thinking, well, maybe I won't do that right now.
And and how do you train that person, right? If you're a smaller church, if you're a church leader, pastor of a church, it's like, oftentimes that's all on you. Like, not only do you have to find and hire someone, but you got to train them. You got to set them up for success. Literally, if you invest an hour a week into, how do I use AI to write a blog post? And there's tons of YouTube content out there about how to do this. There's actually like custom GPTs that you can use to write blog posts. It's literally as simple as, hey, I want you to write a blog post. If I give you a transcript of a sermon, can you do that? Press the button. Yes, I can. And you can basically say, hey, I want you to have it be this length, 1,500 words. I want you to optimize for these keywords. At the end, I want you to tag it with, hey, if you're interested in worshiping with us, here's our service times.
Nice.
You build that out, and then literally every single week, you could take 5 minutes out of your week, go to ChatGPT, go to any other type of AI platform, give it this prompt, and you can have your content knocked out.
Right. You just mentioned ChatGPT. I think we're all familiar with that. At least we've heard it so many times in different capacities. Is that the main tool that you're recommending churches would lean on to develop these weekly blog posts and sermon series notes throughout the week?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot of tools out there. There's ChatGPT, which is ran by OpenAI. Google has their Gemini. I know that there's also Copilot out there with, I believe it was Microsoft that came out with that. China just released DeepSeek, which is like their super cost-effective AI model, still brand new. Depending on when you're watching this episode or this content, it's causing a huge major disruption in the US AI field. OpenAI took a hit. All of these major AI tech companies are taking a hit because this new latest and greatest AI model so much cheaper.
Really?
So without getting too much into the weeds of like the technical there, if you're a church, if you're looking to start out on this, ChatGPT is one of the most user-friendly. It's one of the most easiest to use. There's a lot of content out there from other content creators of how to use it because it was one of the first on the scene. They really were the first one to make AI mainstream for everyday human beings to use and interact with.
Yeah, I know for us at Refresh, we use it a lot for blog posts and just kind of reading through our social media posts and just make sure there's no spell check errors and all that fun stuff.
All the little stuff.
Add emojis in the right spot and everything. So
give it personality too. Like if you don't consider yourself a creative, maybe you're more of a analytical type. You really enjoy digging deep into God's word, and like your whole gifting is, I want to be able to bring this message to life within my congregation. You can basically give your message to AI and say, hey, put a little bit of a spin to this, like make this more engaging, make this more conversational, like give it a personality. And then that shows through and people can relate with that. And you don't have to be a creative genius to try to figure it out. Like what do I need to edit and change?
Okay. Yeah, so just kind of help it be more creative. And if you don't have that in you, just kind of instruct it, hey, give it a creative edge.
For sure.
Okay. So let's keep on the church front here. If you're a worship leader or worship pastor, obviously I've been a worship leader before at church, where I was on staff at multiple churches as a worship pastor. And I constantly wanted to go towards the creative space and help arrange music and just look forward to practices and the creative part. And you always have the administrative and just the workload part of ministry that you have to do. How can AI help a worship leader, worship pastor, someone in the creative space of a church, either optimize or be more efficient with their administrative duties utilizing AI?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of AI tools out there. Actually, like Google just rolled out their Gemini for their email. So like now if I pull up my email account, it will automatically preview all of the messages in my inbox, what people are saying, what needs my response. So if you're in a leadership position and you're worried about scheduling people, you're worried about interacting with your worship team, who's canceling, who can't show up, who can't make it, AI will simplify your email inbox. And that's just a simple tool that you can just, it's already native in your email account.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also tools out there for scheduling. So we haven't seen it yet. If you're familiar with like Planning Center, PCO, that type of deal. What'll be really awesome, PCO, if you're watching, Planning Center, if you're watching, develop some type of AI that you can interact with on that scheduling front. I know having conversations with our worship director, like one of his tasks that has to get done, but he doesn't enjoy doing is scheduling, right? Interacting with people.
I don't know anybody that enjoys scheduling.
Right. And it's like when you're leading a large worship team every single week and it's all volunteer driven, people have different availabilities. Like my question goes to how can we get AI plugged into these other softwares that are already native in the ministry ecosystem to just make some of that admin-y stuff go away?
Yeah. I mean, nobody enjoys I mean, certain people do enjoy the admin side of it,
Yeah.
but most worship pastors and creatives, it's just like,
Yeah.
I gotta do it. Needs to be done. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if AI can help with scheduling or help with song selections or help with creating charts or whatever that may be, I mean, I would lean into it pretty heavy just to get that done and out of the way so I can go be more creative.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there too.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a church space and you have like next week's sermon already queued up, like if you're working ahead in your sermon series and you already have like a rough outline, give that to ChatGPT and you can say like, hey, thematically, what 3 worship songs would go well with this sermon content?
Oh, that's
right?
good. Yeah.
Then it can go ahead and pull from all the database because it has all the knowledge out there of Christian worship songs. And they can say, hey, I would recommend these top 3 songs. And then you can go ahead and begin preparing and say like, hey, is that a song that our team already knows? Is it going to be a battle to try to learn it in a week? But then you can really be more thematic, and that helps your people in your church space too. Because I know you've had the emotion too. When you're in a church service and it all flows from worship to the message to the closing, and it's like that. It all makes sense. Like that thematically, like that moves me and that moves my heart. You're just using AI as a tool rather than having to sit there and be like, gosh, like what psalm makes the most sense? Like I have this awesome message that our lead senior pastor put together. How can I complement that? And you might have those creative moments where it's like, yes, I know exactly what I'm going to do. But sometimes you hit that creative roadblock. Yeah. It's like, I'm not sure. I just want some new ideas. And so it can be really good for idea generation too.
Yeah. I know I've been in that scenario so many times where the pastor kind of changed the direction mid-sermon and he's flowing and it's going awesome. Yeah. And I want to back it up with the right song at the end, so I'm racking my brain like, all right, what song would flow with this sermon that he's kind of adjusted on the spot? And having AI in my pocket would have been great. I can just, ask for some help there. Would have been cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So from a lead pastor, someone who's delivering the message, obviously there's a lot of preparation. I don't think we want AI to write the sermons for you, but what are some ways from a research standpoint or pre-sermon prep can a pastor utilize AI technology?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's the pre-sermon prep. It's preparing and not writing. So there's a lot of people that are like, they're anti-AI. So they're like, AI is disingenuous. And if I'm just going to use it to write my content and write books and all this stuff, then like that's concerning from like a human society. Like what is happening to our creativity if we're just giving it to AI? Right. For a research standpoint, use it for ideation, right? You can give it, hey, my church is doing a sermon series on the book of Colossians, right? What are some key points in the book of Colossians that should be notable, right? And then you can use it as like an outline, right? Okay, hey, so now I have my 5 key topics of Colossians. What verses also back up these key points in Colossians and other books of the Bible, right? And it could just be that point where it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that verse. I never thought of the similarities between that. And now you can begin to work that into your sermon. Obviously something that AI can't replace, personal experiences, the memories and the stories that you tell that's going to connect with your audience. AI is not going to do that for you. But what it can do is begin building some links that it's like you have all these aha moments from just like talking to a computer. It might sound weird, but it's like you're just having an open, honest dialogue. And it's like, well, historically, what is the historic significance of this? Like you can ask ChatGPT that all day long. Just make sure you're running it through your lens and your filter and it is in alignment with your core values and your mission and all of that. You don't just want to copy and paste it. But from ideation, what a powerful tool to just get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Especially if it's a historical ideation, you're getting some hard facts on, history in that time of the writing of Colossians and, where exactly on the map was this taking place. I mean, you can curate some historical data pretty quickly, I would presume.
Yeah. And you don't need to like go full out research mode where you're pulling out all of the books and you're going to all of these different web pages and different links. Like AI is plugged into all of that. So like you're just literally communicating to a tool that has access to billions of different data points, trillions, like the mathematical possibilities that are out there for how much knowledge it's been trained on is insane. So you're just tapping into that.
Right. What's a healthy mindset for a pastor or somebody in ministry to look at AI, not as a replacement of people, but as a resource? Is that kind of the best way to think about it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I've talked with numerous people on both sides of the coin. They're like completely anti-AI. They don't even want to speak the term. And then there's other people that embrace it a little bit too much, I feel like, where it's like, okay, hey, I can use this to cut costs. I can save money on this.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's not going to replace human beings. All of this talk of like AI is going to completely replace humans. Will it make some jobs obsolete? Sure. Like you can argue, I know that we talked about voice AI and text message AI. Like, can that replace a receptionist? To some point, yes. But will I ever embrace that as a tool to have the AI pray for people? No, that's disingenuous. There's no heart. There's nothing behind that.
Right.
But can I use that AI to field that question and be like, okay, hey, based on what you're telling me, I think you really need to talk to Josh so that he can give you some more insight here.
Right.
Are you okay if I connect you with his schedule? That type of deal.
Okay.
So use it as a resource. Don't use it as a replacement. It can complement your people really well. So if you have people that are in the creative zone, don't use it to replace your creatives. Don't use it to replace your social media strategist. Don't use it to replace your website content creator. Empower them to use it. Empower them to use that tool so that they can be more productive, more efficient.
Right.
And that's going to just help your people and your organization grow.
That is such a good mindset because that opens up the time gap for them to be more creative and to tap into that side of their brain.
Yeah.
And as a pastor, if you're bringing people on, I mean, you want them to have that creative space so they can help grow the church and develop their people and actually take time to pastor the people on their team. But if they're tied up in an office doing a bunch of busy work and doing a bunch of administrative back-end work that AI can optimize, then, wow, that's a win-win, because then that leader on your team gets to have more fun in their giftings. They get to lean into their giftings. They get to pastor their people.
Yeah.
And, as a leader, lead pastor, you get to see your team flourish.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful way to look at AI as an empowering tool to give your team permission to use it.
Yeah.
Hey, what tools would you prefer to use in your role?
Yeah.
And that's an awesome perspective. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen it internally within our team as well. Like there's still, I need my team, right? I'm nothing without my team, and I need to make sure that they are efficient and productive, but they enjoy working on the tasks that they do. I was just having a conversation with my team. I think it was last week. We were talking through what is your natural gifting, right? What do you really enjoy doing, and what gives you your energy, right? What gets you more happy and fulfilled? And I was having a conversation with Saival on my team, and she was like, yeah, I'm not a big graphic designer. Like, I do it because I have to. I'm like, all right, whoa. Hold up there. You're no longer doing graphic design. Either we're going to bring someone on to fulfill that need, or let's look into other AI tools that you can use that can do that graphic design for you. And it's like, there's so many different moments where it's like, man, do I enjoy writing Google My Business posts, Google Business Profile posts? No. Now, does it need to be done? Absolutely it does. It needs to be done so that people can find about you and your church. And when they're Googling those search terms, churches near me, Google uses that as one of the ranking factors. So it needs to be done. If someone doesn't enjoy doing it, empower them with a tool that it still gets done, but they're not racking their brain in this dead creative zone that they're not enjoying it. You want your people to be fulfilled and have that energy.
What are some tools out there that maybe we haven't heard of that we could take advantage of? Obviously, we talked about ChatGPT, and there's a bunch of other functions within that software. Yeah. But are there other things that we don't know? Maybe you're seeing coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. So in the church and ministry space, there's a lot of AI with the video creative. I can't think of any like name drop off the top of my mind, but I do know that I think CapCut might actually have some AI built into it now, where you can upload a sermon, full 30-minute sermon, and then it can run through that transcript and then break that down into like 1-minute clips. So there's definitely softwares out there that can do exactly that. we use for our service-based business where we're working with other business owners, contractors, roofers. Voice AI has become a big push for us. So tools like SynthFlow makes it super easy. You can program a AI office assistant. So if you wanted to, you could deploy this for your church admin. So if you have an admin assistant, maybe they don't want to be on the phone all day. Maybe they're pulled in a couple different areas and tasks.
Right.
Have the AI answer the call. If it's just someone inquiring about service times or service layout, about worship, about core values, if they need to get connected with someone in facilities because they want to rent your space, like AI can do all of that. You don't need someone to go through and go through that conversation of how do I make sure that that's connected to the right person. Like AI will just transfer the call. AI will just book it directly on that person's calendar.
Nice.
We're seeing that also with like website chat widget stuff. So like if someone's on your website and they want more information, yes, can they go to your About Us page, look at your core values, your mission, your vision statements? Sure. Can they go through what you believe? Absolutely. But what's even more effective is if you have that little live chat icon in the lower right-hand corner, and you can plug and program your AI to basically scrape your website. So it knows all your core values. It knows your doctrine statements and what you believe and why you believe it. Plug that into the AI assistant when someone goes to your website and they ask these specific questions. Hey, I'm considering visiting you. What are your service times?
Right.
What's your service layout? What's your worship style? Like all of these questions that first-time visitors are asking.
What's the kid check-in process?
Exactly. Do you guys have kidsmen? And what does your weekly programming look like?
Right.
Have AI just respond to all that. That way you don't have all these messages going to an office admin that, oh my gosh, I have these 20, 30 messages that I need to respond to on top of everything else that I'm doing to support the ministry.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's I think it's easy. Maybe it's not. Way to implement the chat AI into your website and just have a bunch of questions curated in there.
Yeah. All the tools that are out there, they make it super, super easy. And that's what's cool. Like I would definitely consider myself like a tech geek nerd. Like I love this stuff. So it's like every single week there's a new tool that's coming out that I'm like playing around with, seeing if I like it better than this other tool. What can I get better output from? What different language models have higher output?
Right.
So it's a fun.
It's hard to keep up with them.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Every time I check social or whatever online, I mean, there's new tools, there's new apps. I mean, these new softwares are popping up every single day. I mean, in the hundreds too.
Yeah. And even if it's not a new software, like already existing softwares are using AI. So we use ClickUp for our project management is how we coordinate tasks, projects, deadlines with our team. Yeah. There's an AI aspect to that. We use Slack for our internal comms for our team. There's AI components to Slack where I can summarize a message thread. So it's like even all of these other softwares that you might already be using, chances are if they're not already if they don't already have AI developed, they're probably working on it. Every single company has their eye set on how can I use AI to make my customers' lives easier. So I don't think we're too far off from a planning center or some of these other ministry specific sites having more of a AI adoption. Yeah,
I haven't checked on ProPresenter yet, but do you know if they've implemented any AI?
I don't, but that would be a really good use case. We're like, what if I could just take my sermon, upload it into ProPresenter and say, hey, make me some lower thirds that coordinate with my sermon. I want 26 different lower thirds that I can pull up. Could be scripture, could be key points, key takeaways. And now you've just helped empower your communications director or however your media director at your church. You're empowering them to say, hey, instead of reading through my sermon and pulling out key takeaways and creating the lower thirds yourself, boom, type this prompt into ProPresenter and ProPresenter is just going to do it for you.
Man, ProPresenter can be one of those things where you love it or hate it.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe there's a point where it's like just troubleshooting within ProPresenter. Like there's been so many times where it's like, how do I do this? I forget and I have to get on Google and I have to Google it. What if there was just an AI assistant that I'm like, how do I change what screen this goes to? Or how do I change and edit this slide? And boom. Hey, I'm going to do this for you.
Maybe you should make that.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Man, how many churches would utilize that tool, just a ProPresenter AI help?
Yeah, exactly. And you think like in ministry, you have a lot of volunteers, right? And you can't it is physically impossible to mind dump everything that you have up here. If you're a director of like audio, video, if you're the tech director of a church, you can't just say, okay, here's my brain, go and run. Like, if these tools had the systems that you can empower your volunteers to say, hey, if you don't know the answer to a question, ask ProPresenter AI, and it'll magically create the slides for you, edit the slides, all that.
Yeah, same thing with Planning Center. I mean, there's a business for somebody that you can go and run with.
Yeah. Whoever's I am not a developer. I use what is already developed, and I know enough to be dangerous, but if you're an AI developer, go reach out to ProPresenter, reach out to Planning Center, reach out to some of these guys in the space and say, hey, I want to build this AI for you. And you could, be a great partnership.
Man. We get asked tons of questions on Planning Center because we're doing the screens. And so, I mean, man, if there was something we can point them to, ProPresenter help support line. Man, phones would be ringing off the hook.
Yeah. I mean, even for Refresh, like how does Refresh adopt AI that when your clients and your churches and your ministries are running into issues, do you have something that you could just upload a user manual or upload a user guide, or have a phone line that they can call in instead of your team answering the call and going through troubleshooting steps? The AI already knows all the troubleshooting steps and it's going to guide them through it. Or like that online resource, like a chatbot that they can say, hey, I don't have any output on my screen. What's going on here? And then so the AI can respond, well, hey, can you check that you have signal going into it? Check your processor unit, check all of these boxes, and they can be, oh, hey, well, my processor isn't turned on. Okay, we'll go find where the power source is. Like all those general troubleshooting stuff that you run into.
Absolutely. Just save the phone call. Yeah. Give them a couple troubleshooting steps. I mean, we're working on an app right now.
Yeah, I love that.
Kind of puts all of that into one center there.
Very cool.
But we'll be sure to integrate AI into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. What are some last parting words or advice you can give a church? Something that they can implement fairly quickly and maybe even do today or tomorrow within the world of AI to empower their ministry and fuel their growth.
Yeah, I would say don't be scared. Don't be scared by AI being this crazy, difficult, complex things. They've made AI extremely user-friendly. And I think a lot of times people can get lost in the weeds of like, I need to be a technically minded person. I need to know how to operate all of this complex code to use AI.
Right.
No, you can literally go to ChatGPT. I think it's chat.openai.com. You got to look up and quote me on that and throw it in the video here. But just go right to there and start having fun with some prompts. Like just see what it's capable of. Ask it a couple things. There's tons of resources out there on YouTube. So don't be afraid of AI. Be curious about it and always be asking yourself, like, what are some new use cases that I could use this for? Or there's been several times where I find myself asking, I wonder if AI can do this. So then you just go and you create a prompt and you give it the prompt, or you look into some existing GPTs, as they call it, and see if it's possible. Okay. A use case that I'm using right now is taxes. We're in tax season. I hate taxes. I got a bunch of bank statements and credit card statements and stuff. So I just downloaded all my credit card statements from all the different cards, all my different business bank accounts, gave that OpenAI and said, hey, can you put together basically a spreadsheet that I can give my CPA, my accountant, that they can go through and file my taxes.
You just drop those into ChatGPT?
You can upload PDFs, upload files, all that stuff. You can connect it with Google Drive now.
Nice. I need to try that.
Yeah. Be curious, man. Yeah. If you're just thinking through, can I do this? Just go out and try.
Yeah. What I'm taking away from this is your mindset and perspective towards AI, how you look at it. And that goes along with being curious, like what you're saying. And secondly, empowering. You utilize it as an empowering tool to enhance what you're doing personally, but then also if you have a team, which most pastors and churches do, to use as an empowering tool to give them more freedom, more space to lean into their giftings.
Yeah. And I think you just got to have that growth mindset. And I would classify myself more of like an optimist. So I see the good in a lot of things. I see the good in a lot of situations and technologies and stuff. Can AI be bad? Absolutely. It's the same thing with the internet. The internet is such a powerful tool that can be used for immense good.
Right.
There's also a lot of dark stuff that's on the internet that can be used for bad. Right. But am I going to let that limit my understanding and my knowledge and using a really good tool because there's all this bad stuff and evil stuff with it? No. Like I'm going to use it to promote good. I'm going to use it to be a good tool of how can I impact people? How can I make my team's lives easier? How can I make my sermons more engaging? How can I make worship more engaging? How can I minister to more people? If you look at it from that lens, like there's so much opportunity. So don't just be like AI is dangerous and bad and I'm just not going to look into it because I don't want robots to take over the world.
Yeah.
Have a healthy mindset of like growth of what can this be used for, for good.
I feel like this was probably the conversations that were going on back in 2000 when the internet was becoming popular and it wasn't totally adopted by everybody. And it was like, well, what's going on here? Is this going to take over businesses and brick and mortar stores? But now we're in the AI world on the front end having these conversations. So it'll be fun to look back on these conversations in 10 years, be like, oh man, what were we freaking out about? Right.
There's, will robots take over the world? I don't think so. Like there's some stuff out there that it can be very dystopian and like, it's like, oh my gosh, like we're so close to this, but yeah, use it as a tool and be curious on what you can use it for good. And you're solid. Like don't just count it out.
I would gladly hire an AI robot to mow my lawn.
There you go. And I like, dude, you'll see it. Like all the mundane like taxes. Like I don't want to do it.
Things you don't want to do.
Yeah. Even like my CPA firm, like I haven't asked them, but like I am sure that their team is using AI to help classify transactions, like going into QuickBooks. And if QuickBooks had an AI, and they already do have some machine learning where it can auto classify stuff, but the same stuff that we're seeing in the private sector with businesses and how they're using AI, like ask yourself the question, how can my ministry use this? How can my church plug into this? Like you just take what they're doing and apply it to your ministry. You'd be amazed by the difference